Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Echo back here once again, trying to provide what help I can for what I guess is now the third coming of the Apocalypse, also known as Skyrim Patch 1.31. I am Skyrim Special Edition PS4 SLIM. Now, before getting any further into this video, understand that just because you see me doing something in a video does not mean that you should. You very well could fuck up your game or fuck it up worse. I'm not responsible for your actions. If you feel that you should not do something, do not do it. Also, that this may be different on different platforms, and I have the allotted space and able to actually do this. What I wanted to show is a couple of mods that were broken in my load order after my first test that seem not to be deleted. I can delete them as well get back the ghost space they leave behind. So you see I'm not able to delete this mod out of my load order currently. However, oddly enough, if I go to the actual mod on the page, it says it's not downloaded even though it's in my load order. And I know this is the mod as I do have it bookmarked, and that's what I do for mods in the load order. Now note that currently to download the mod it says it requires 10.54 MB. Also take note that currently I am supposed to have 14.63 GB free with 1.36 GB used. That will be important for later. So I found the only way to get rid of the mod out of load order is to try to download it again. And you would think it would download for the size that it says here. However, I found that is not the case, although you can't see it here and may think that it did. So now you'll notice that I have 14.38 GB free and 1.61 GB used. And to see how much the mod actually downloaded for, I have to go into the load order, and I do say sorry for the length of time this is going to take, as it is all the way at the bottom of the load order, and I do not want to cut any of my footage as I feel it's important for you to see everything that I'm doing in real time, so that you can see there are no cuts for the ghost space that this mod is going to leave behind. But in any case, the mod downloaded for a much larger size than what it said it did, which several of you have been reporting you have had issue with as well. So the mod says that it downloaded for 256.05 MB, which is a tad bit more than what it was supposed to download for and not ideal. And worse yet, if I attempt to go ahead and disable and delete the mod out of my load order, you'll notice it did not give me, or at least appears not to have given me, the space back. I still have 14.38 GB free with 1.61 GB used, which is less than I had before doing this. Now again, just as I've stated up to this point, that if you feel you should not follow along with me, do not. That goes for the next part too. However, I found that I am able to get this space back as long as I do this one mod at a time, and that is simply to do as I've always done, and that is reloading the files. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, cancel out of this screen, cancel out of this screen, wait for these images to load, and then cancel out one more time. Select OK here. And again, I am not going to be cutting any of my footage. The only exception to this is if the PS4 gives me a record error, which I do not know happens until I go back to check this in editing. Hopefully it will not. It's been doing it off and on lately. But in any case, while I know the video is not going to be entertaining, and I do apologize for the length, I still feel it's important that you see everything I'm doing in real time. Again, that does not mean that you should follow along. I do not know how this will be on other platforms. PS5, Xbox, whatever. As well, I can only go by my own account of what is happening in my game, not yours. So I'm going to go ahead and load into the creations menu again, and once again I apologize for the time this is going to take. If you've been with my channel long enough, you know that since the creations update that I wait for the images on the main page to load. The reason for that is, at least in my case, I have found that if I attempt to go into the load order before the images on the creation main page have loaded, that it causes the load order to bug out. It causes the mods to disable and rearrange themselves in my load order. The reason I believe that happens, and this is prior to our recent patch of course, but the reason I believe that happens is because it's attempting to load the images here on the main page. At the same time, it's attempting to load the images in the load order, and more importantly, it's trying to load all of the information in the mod descriptions, because if you go offline, that information does not appear. And I believe that it bugs it out trying to go into it too soon. Of course, this is just off of various tests and assumptions on my part, as Bethesda doesn't tell us anything. Still, that is the reason why I am going to have to wait. You can fast forward through the video if you would like. I wish I could join you, but I do have to wait here, which is the reason why I hate coming into the creations page. Also, for those wondering, I've also ran tests before, and again, this is prior to this patch, but it isn't really reliant on your internet connection as to how long it takes for this to load. I've found at times that the game bugged out on me and deleted all my load order, that this page would load almost instantly. So it's actually the amount of mods you have in your load order that determines how long this takes to load. Also keep in mind, if you're close to the plugin limit, which I think is 255, although I do believe just checking says 253, so somewhere around there. I don't know the exact amount. I'm not an expert on this game, but if you're close to that plugin limit, be very careful you don't go over it, as that could cause problems as well. Now, master files, ESL and ESL flagged, are not supposed to count to that plugin limit. However, I've noticed with some mods that say they are ESL flagged, they're still counting, so be careful of that. Okay, let me search the mod up real quick. The reason I know that some of the ESL flagged mods are still being counted to the plugin limit is because just checking is picking them up as a plugin. In any case, this is the same mod that I just ran that test on deleting, and now you'll notice if you take a look, I have once again 14.63 GB free and 1.36 GB used, which is what I had before. Keep in mind, once again, I had the allotted space to be able to do this in the first place. People that have got the 14 gigabytes already used up, I don't know if that would work. Also, another problem is that if I attempt to download the mod again, from this point on, it tries to download it for the much larger size that it should not be. I don't know if this would have to be a fix on the mod author side of things, or more likely if this would have to be a hot fix from Bethesda. But in any case, I would not recommend downloading or updating mods at this time, as you might encounter this, and for every one that you do, you might very quickly use up your space. Oh, before I forget, now there is a problem with being able to delete mods out of the load order this way, which I have found with one of mine that were broken. I've ran this test now 3 times, this one being the 3rd. In any case, a mod that I showed in a previous video that was broken but did not move down to the bottom of the load order, which is this one right here. This is Man Those Borders Reborn. I cannot find this mod for whatever reason when searching it. I don't know if it's possibly been moved to work in progress and I don't have time to do the workaround, or if it's just been deleted outright. But because of that, I'm unable to delete the mod out of the load order because I cannot use the method that I've shown here. And just again to be clear, with the method that I've been doing here, I've been doing this with mods one at a time, doing exactly what I showed you, reloading the files, and then and only then going back in and doing it with the next mod. I've not been doing it with multiple. So I don't know if the video would be helpful, but I thought I would share my experience. At least it might be informative to you. But again, remember that if you feel you should not do something, do not do it. I hope the video helped you out. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. Take care. This has been a Streaming Freedom Video Bulletin via the Eyes Only Informant Net. Peace out.